Welcome in, everyone, to the Challenge Aftershow. Tonight, Jenna, Pamela, and I are talking about the Challenge, Season 40, Battle of the Eras, Episode 20, Reunion Part 1. Now,
20
that's
up
the best title of the season. They went,
20.
this one, I'm on board. Great title. Great title.
Direct and to the point.
right
Yes.
to the point. Not in my reunion era, part one era.
That actually, they could have done something fun like that, actually, for it, but they didn't
Really,
want to have.
after all the hating we've been doing about them making every episode title in my era, now you're suddenly a
Well,
big fan of
if
that?
they're gonna go on theme for 19 goddamn episodes, they might as well keep the theme going for episode 20, but no, they did not.
They stopped, just like they stopped with introducing the karma votes into every episode. They're like, when we feel like it.
We'll recap the relevant ones, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
Some
I
of them.
I was listening to this random podcast, like the Challenge Fandom podcast. It popped up on my Instagram, and they were saying that they didn't like the karma votes because it became like a voting system, like the Big Brothers and those other Survivor shows. And the challenge was never like that. It wasn't like a popularity contest or whatever you want to call it for like the voting thing. And they were like, they think it's like maybe not necessarily ruin the challenge, but they're like, please don't bring it back. And I was like, that's a great point. Like that's probably why I didn't like the karma votes either. I just wanted it based on pure who the hell's going to win this damn thing. I don't want Rachel going from 3-1 because people liked her in the house. They never did that before. So I thought that was, but then again, every week, I know where you're going with this, Pam. Every week, like you're getting voted into eliminations, which is kind of like so I was like, wait, hold on, I only
Social.
have to
It's
read that.
another aspect of your social gameplay, which Dan, I mirrored your feelings. I saw that or comment or someone mentioned that, and I thought, yeah, this you can win on merit alone. And then as you were recapping that, I thought, really, it's always been a system where you're voted in or you're picked or we choose this or your
Right.
alliances and your things always sort of count.
But
So
then at least you get to prove yourself in the elimination to come back versus the karma votes. Once they voted, Rachel's like, I'm the winner and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's that difference there, I guess.
still
Yeah,
have to get to that. I mean,
I
or
know.
whatever. I think that the karma votes, that's not why they failed for me as a concept per se. It's more that it was like, guys, no result in the standing. Like, oh, this big thing you threw in for the
Oh,
girls. It was like, oh, okay, wow. It's sort of, shook things up, but to what, like, not a for me, not a satisfying end. It's like, oh, so I know you guys talked about this last week, but I was like, oh, so two first place, no second place, or no second place, then a third place, and nope. I was like, just move, just move. If you're gonna do a tie,
well, that's
move
what we were
them up to.
critiquing how arbitrary it felt like to just assign the karma votes to checkpoints. Like it just kind of felt like what was the rhyme or reason? We were waiting the whole final to see how the karma votes were going to affect it. And I mean, I don't know if that's the wrong or right way because you don't want to make someone's outcome in busting their ass in a final all contingent on the popularity social vote. So in a way, it's kind of nice that they only narrowed it down to two checkpoints, but it just kind of leaves you like, okay, should we have done this? I mean, it definitely affected the female game. The thing is, I actually like the idea of it. Like, I do understand why they drew it up that way because it does seem like, there's been such polarizing personalities in this show where let's say you just hate someone because you think they're a dick in the game and they backstab everybody, they betray everybody. It would be kind of nice to see them get knocked down if you feel like they played a dirty game or they're just like, insufferable in some sort of way. But I feel like, in more recent seasons, people have kind of leveled out, right? Like there's not as maybe like as grand of the villains. I mean, Bananas is still there. He's always there, but he's kind of like almost fun now at this point. Like, but I mean, yeah, it definitely gives the opportunity to like really shock the end of the game. Like how Bananas had the opportunity to steal from Sarah, how Ashley had the opportunity to steal from Hunter. Like, doesn't mean we like it, doesn't mean it's like fair, but it's reality TV. So I understand the point of it, but I tend to agree with everybody else that The challenge has been built on being able to navigate your way to a final based off of like these social dynamics and whether that means being great ally or whether that means being a fake ally. It get, like part of the
Here's
game is
the here's the
that
one little difference
part.
between like the Banana and Sarah, Hunter, Ashley thing. Nobody knew what was going to go down with that until that final second, where these karma points have been forecast in the
Mm,
weather for the entire 20 freaking episodes of this thing as if it's going to be this big crazy thing, and then it's kind of like, did it really pay off? Versus that whole thing before where you can steal the money, it was such a quick 3 second shock and then make a decision now. It's insane. So that's the difference for me. And
Great.
like
It was,
one more thing, just tell us the rules with the karma votes ahead of time.
but
Like,
that's what
because
I,
you're
I
manipulating it. You can do whatever the hell you want with them at the end, and that pissed me off. Like, it didn't. You helped Rachel win. Well, what if Rachel needed 3 checkpoints? Would you didn't then said it cost 3 checkpoints for her to tie it? I don't know. I
I
just don't
agree
like
with
that.
the show's lack of transparency, and I think I read somewhere that it changed from being a competition show. That was what it was like, literally that set to a reality show, which means they don't have to tell us anything and they can do whatever they want.
yeah.
Literally, they changed. It used to be a straight up competition show where you have actual standards of the competition. So with this, I
Interesting.
agree that just as a viewer, they take away some of the enjoyment of the competition when it's like, we're introducing this thing. We'll sum up a few for you if it's relevant or not. So I
Right.
feel like they would, if they're going to do that, they should give the component if it's going to become a social thing and they want us to interact like Big Brother. And I don't want it to be more like Big Brother, but has the extended stuff and you can hear them plotting and people cover that. If they were going to do that, then let us see each eliminated person's karma vote score. Like post that on your Instagram. Let us see what everyone did so people can get
Well,
involved in
especially
wow.
because, that's an interesting thought, Pam. Social media is so big right now. Wouldn't everyone love that interactive quality of like, just kind of Big
No,
Brother does?
I
Jenna
wouldn't.
doesn't have time for it, okay? But
I'd like
others who
someone to
do have the
recap it for
time,
me so we could see instead of them just saying, and Rachel and Jenny win. It's like,
it's
let
interesting.
us
But then again, they could
see
still
what the
manipulate
karma
everyone.
votes really were.
They could just
Because I
still
can't
manipulate
imagine
everyone's votes too, though.
Bananas didn't get a shit ton of bad karma votes. So
Well, he was last, wasn't he? Wasn't he he only got two? No, wait,
I
I
guess with
think
the
he
men,
got 2 points,
yeah, I guess
which
with
is
the
a
men, the
low.
point was the karma votes didn't impact your
Right.
final score big enough, you
But
know?
right.
but Bananas did get the lowest score possible, which was 1 point for each checkpoint, which is 2 points. So, all right, let's
Let's
talk
talk about the
let's talk
reunion.
reunion.
Yeah.
Let's do overall thoughts real quick, and then we'll dive into some of these. I don't think we need to talk about everything because some of it was not great, but other stuff was really great. Jenna, why don't you give your overall thoughts first?
Sure. My overall thoughts were I thought this was really fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun reunion. There was definitely points of drama that I was interested in, but I also liked everybody's playful attitudes. Like
Hmm.
there definitely were heated conversations, but they rounded out in a way where it didn't feel like everybody was still having fun. Like you still felt that energy of like, okay, this is like a silly and fun reunion. Like that silly gimmicky things like Amanda walking out in her spirit Halloween devil costume and like throwing the beanbags. Like there was still like silly energy to it, but it still I think brought some drama throughout the conversation, so I liked it.
Yeah, Pamela.
I agree, Jenna. I thought it was really fun. I was like, oh, this was really fun. It was much more fun than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be made up fights and stupid drama, and it was kind of the opposite. They did cover things I wanted them to cover. I thought the only very serious topic was the Cara and Laurel, and I liked how Cara handled that. I thought Maria did an amazing job and looked amazing, and I thought on my shallow note, everybody looked amazing,
Yeah.
and it was fun to watch. Everybody looked amazing. Most people were fun and had the right attitude. There was a few times it bordered on getting serious, but I agree that everyone kept it light, and I thought it was very enjoyable. It moved really quickly, and there wasn't anything I was like, wait, why didn't you talk about this at the end of
Yeah.
it?
And
So
I will jump on the bandwagon here. I'll ditto that times two. And it was awesome. I enjoyed it the entire time. In fact, here's what was kind of getting me. Some of the stories that they said were happening in the house, like especially the ones between Devin and Bananas, my whole thought was like, this is so interesting. Why couldn't they think of a way to show this on the goddamn show and make this season not just about the who am I going to vote in this week, but like those
Yeah.
little sort of. Now, I think I figured out why they don't show us all those things. Back in the day with like the real world and the challenge, they film 24/7. They like
Yeah.
now, we've talked about on the show before. I think they
Yeah.
plan out certain times. You two are going to get together at 5 o'clock and you're going to talk
Yeah.
about this. And so they miss all of these like strategical fun things and these lies that they tell each other because the bananas and the Devin stories that they were telling, I was like, I wish I could see that play out. That's so fun. But overall, I mean, the stories they were telling, like, why, please somehow figure out a way. Oh, wait, you already know how to do it. Just film 24/7. Why can't they? I don't know. I just don't get why they
Yeah,
can't do that anymore.
agreed.
Because
And also, I think so much goes on before and after, and actually all the time, all year long. These people are seeing each other at events, at parties, they live in like the same cities now. Not all of them, of course. I'm not trying to speak out of turn, but they see each other a lot more. And I know that they did events in the past. Like there was probably always MTV stuff going on, but I think just in terms of like access to communicative resources, like now with social media, now with our smartphones and everything, like when this show was starting in the 2000s, like 2000 to 2010, it was not the same format of like the way people would communicate with one another and how often they saw each other. So I think when they came into the house, there was just like so much more electricity and things that you could track in terms of a narrative. But now there's so much shit happening off camera before they even get to the country that they're going to be filming the season in, that we have no context to what a lot of these arguments are about. So it's hard to flesh them out in an episode. If they're like,
Mhm.
they're rehashing something that maybe happened off camera. For example, we found out that Michelle and Devin had actually kind of been talking or flirting and like
mm,
doing stuff together. And from my perspective, I know we're going to get into all of the bullets of things that happened, but I sensed that Bananas was actually coming from a place of pretty pure good intentions for his friend at first, because I think he saw this like uncertain, haphazard development of a relationship that maybe he was like, oh, okay, I feel like Devin's not actually really like ready to commit or is not really seriously pursuing Michelle. Now that once we get into a game where there's cameras, now he is seriously pursuing her. So I think in the beginning, his intentions were pure for his friend. Like, I want to make sure he's not just doing this because now the game's on the line and now there's cameras. But the whole like, he got caught lying on camera, and it's so obvious and so funny that they showed the clip of what he said and the clip of him denying what he said when we clearly see the contrast of the two. And that
Yeah.
was amazing that he had to like sit there and swallow that and watch that play out.
Yeah. I don't think Bananas gives a shit if Devin runs Michelle over with a truck. I don't think there was one. I disagree that his intentions in bringing it up at first were pure for his friend at all. He might have genuinely, in addition to wanting to sabotage Devin, thought Devin was using Michelle, but I don't think he cares. And if it didn't benefit him in any way, I don't think he would have ever brought it up if he didn't see an
yeah,
angle
to,
for himself.
I'll, I'll
Um,
I'll agree with Pam on this. I think based on the story that Devin told, where he called out Bananas on the 3 week thing, Bananas was looking at was trying to grasp at straws, trying to get rid of Devin somehow, and he was going to try to break that up with him and Michelle by saying whatever he said. Oh, Michelle, he's not really here for you, just trying to blow up Devin's game because Devin was going to blow up his game. So
and
Yeah,
also
what
that
I
gave,
love so much is how Devin came with the specific call outs. Like my knee-jerk reaction to this conversation was like, I am in awe about how much you guys remember the dialogue you have in conversations with people. Like everybody, I felt like we're reciting, and of course, like things can be, um, paraphrased after the fact, but I felt like everybody was really coming in strong with like transcripts of the
yeah,
dialogue they had in conversations with people. And I'm like, damn,
yeah.
I'm impressed because I could talk to somebody on the phone 10 minutes ago and I couldn't tell you what we talked about.
Agreed. I also loved because the point they showed us a clip of bananas of Banana saying, Devin, you said you were gonna come after me, and but Devin saying it's gonna come after you eventually.
right,
But Devin gave that such good context at the reunion
yeah,
that Bananas told him privately, I'm going to leave in 3 weeks. And he called bullshit
Yeah.
and said, I'll give you 3 weeks. I'll double that. And if you're still here in 6 weeks, I'm going to come after you, which was funny and made sense within the context of what we saw. So that's the kind of stuff I want the reunion to do that it did. And I was happy about.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like you're always on, you girls are always on me, like you love Devin so much. How can you like the way that he can articulate himself and totally like make jokes right on the fly like that? And I kind of hold myself to that high standard too. I think that's how I would want to be on the show, being able to quickly improvise some type of return on that comment that they made to me. So I really appreciate Devin and all the stuff he does, and I get that he's not the best competitor in the world, but at the same time. I mean, we've seen a lot of people worse off than Devin be a part of this show over the years. So I'm very
Well, I
happy
mean,
to see
I
him
think
back. Yeah.
I think it's very clear, that you'd be on the side of Devin here because he really brought out exactly what you're saying, Pam, about Bananas' whole story to say that he was gonna self-exit because he had something at home going on. So give him 3 weeks. Like it really shed a lot of light on, okay, I mean, we already could put together that Bananas was in the wrong because he was lying about what he was saying. But it really made it very hard to see it any differently, But I did, and this is not justifying anything, I did find Bananas' counterpoint interesting too about the Mariah situation from a
Hmm.
previous season. And I actually am still on the side of Devin and Tori here. I do think that they also were genuine with their intentions of warning Bananas, like, hey, Mariah said, you're not her type. She's just using you for the game. And then realizing once there was like something going on, then they backed down on the whole kind of like ploy to blow them up. But it's interesting to hear that they also were kind of infiltrating on Bananas and Mariah's relationship and
That
did a
was
similar
also
thing.
really, I agree,
Yeah.
Jen. I thought that was really interesting. And it's interesting to me how hard Bananas fell for Mariah. Like he really did,
Oh,
which is
no.
good. I mean, I don't know. But second, everything also, you need context. Like I feel like even when I heard that, the story that Mariah said, if I wasn't here, I would never be into him. To me, it just means, God, I would never pick Dan to be the kind of guy I would go for. But since we've been living in a room together for 3 weeks, I've really fallen for it. Like it didn't even seem to me to be a sinister thing that she said. It's like, oh
Good
yeah, I
point.
wouldn't typically date a guy like this, but now that I've gotten to know him, like he's not her usual type. Because I don't think that it's just everything is so up to interpretation. So as
Yes.
friends, I do think that they were kind of sincere in saying that. But I do think no matter what the situation, it's messy to get involved in I mean, I guess this whole game is messy and that's the
Yeah.
point. But when people are feeling it out, you know how vulnerable you feel in that beginning stage for someone to like shake your confidence. I guess I feel bad that Michelle to go through that and bad for Bananas and everybody, and it's just going to play
True.
out the way it
How
is.
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
how
Good
did
point.
Mariah and Bananas end that relation? How did that relationship end again? We talked about it, I feel like back in the
I
day.
think she broke up with
I
him.
do
Like,
too, but like what was the context behind it? Like she just was wanted to date somebody else or just didn't like his personality anymore? Like what was I don't remember
I
why
mean,
the
she's
reason was
like,
behind
I
it.
don't know.
I
She told the world. Imagine she did a whole press release on, you know what? His personality is not for me. He wouldn't put away his socks and
Hey,
his.
why don't we talk to our girl Morgan, friend of the podcast? She was saying all kinds of stuff about why her and Bananas ended. She went on. 3 years later, she decided to come back and tell us more information. It's like, girl, it's over. Stop. We don't need to go try to get on another show already. Like we're over, Morgan. We're
mean,
done.
Jimmy did it about other people's
There you
relationships. So I
go. I mean,
kind of
everyone's
forget
doing
that
it. So
Kim's
Morgan or
doing it about
Mariah,
her own.
I want to
She
hear it,
had a
Mariah.
podcast 3 years later about Tori and Jordan's break. I mean, yeah. Um, I don't know,
Jenna
but
doesn't. Jenna
it was
hates
interesting.
when we do
No,
that.
no,
When
no,
we
I don't. I don't. I guess you have a point. I guess you totally have a point. But I guess I'm also like, yeah, I don't know. Were they prompted to ask? Like, we don't
I
know.
don't know.
You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
sure Bananas is a narcissist, and I'm sure being cheated. I mean, again, he's great for TV. The same way he's all the things that make a challenge competitor great. He's witty. He's funny. I did like to bring it to a positive. I liked that after this argument and discussion, Bananas, Tori, and Devin said, by the way, also outside of the game, like totally love you. I was like, that's, you can be pissed at someone in the game for a move and be friends in real life. I like that they all, that put a sort of coat of paint on the positive attitude. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I'm
it
pissed
also
that you
puts
did
it
that, but
though. It also puts it to the point like back in the day, I do feel like Wes and Bananas really hate each other on and off the screen. Where now
True.
I'm like, who's actually really like, are they all just friends and they're just playing this game? Because they can all be actors on this reality show, especially when everything is like planned out, like you're filming this at 2 p.m. and this at 5 p.m. They can prep all this stuff versus back in the day, if you're just being shot 24/7 like on the real world, you forget they used to say this all the time. You forget the cameras are there. But I feel like very much so right now when they film, they do not forget the cameras are there because they're a little more planned out. So I do think there's
a
something to that
different
as well.
a different world, but almost I feel like you have to, whether they actually like them and want to hang out with them or not, these vets that have been doing it for 20 years, just like Dan grew up on a lake. I went to summer camp. And when you live in a space the size of the room I'm in right now with 14 girls, like you kind of love them all like family at the end, whether you want to hang out and be friends. That's what I feel like they almost trauma bond, like these veterans that have done this a million times and stayed up all night singing, I'm tired, I don't want. It's
Oh my
like you
God.
have to have some sort of respect and mutual, something, what's the word I'm looking for? Kinship together, just
Sure,
because.
yes,
So I
they're
think
like
people that have
family.
done it forever,
Right.
right? No
There's
one
only so
knows
many
what,
people that can relate to them on this very specific thing, which is being on the challenge and especially doing a final as well. I mean, these are things that we're not going to experience and we can't relate and that we just say, oh, I watched you do it though. That's all we can say.
whether they actually like want to hang out with you. Like there's a few people that are obviously truly hurt over the relationship things throughout the years. But overall, yeah, these people that have done it forever, it's like, but I love you. It's
Yeah,
probably
no, I
hard to,
love that. I agree. It's like living in a dorm, or being
yeah,
on a sports team. Like you have to
right.
love all of your teammates, even if sometimes you don't, or you accept all their quirks because you're in like a team-like setting versus like maybe if you didn't meet them in that capacity, you just would never talk to them.
Camaraderie. That's the word I was looking for. It's like
Camaraderie.
there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
certain amount of camaraderie you have to go through with them at a certain point. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Honorable mention, I love the ominousness. Is that how you say, put that
yep.
together? Ominousness of Nehemiah just like mysteriously and abruptly leaving the stage like every 45 seconds within the first few minutes of the show. He's on and off. We don't know where he is. And then he pops up and he hands somebody else a tissue. Like, I just love how
Yeah, he
he's
was
on and off. It was
what
so,
like
so
and
funny to me.
he barely said anything for that reunion. And we can get into some of the people, maybe they'll have a part in part two. Some of the people we didn't even hear them speak yet. John A, Avery,
Right,
I
you're
can name a
right.
couple more, but we maybe they'll have something in part two. But like some of these people that were asked there, we can kind of break this down. I'm like, you didn't need to ask all these people. I'm sorry. Like even Amanda, if she didn't have her little stunt that she did, she went home so damn early. Like, there's really no reason for her to be there besides to stir the pot, I guess, because of a situation she had with Corey on like day number one. So, but yeah, I would like to go to the top of the episode if that's okay, because the opening of this, the first
Hot and
thing that
hot out the gate.
hot out the gate. I just have to ask about the Tina thing on the top because
Yeah.
literally to me, this could have just been cut. I don't even know why MTV would want this out there for people to hear because the first question that they show Maria asking, who knows if it's the first question, she says like, how is the game different than when you guys first did it? And Tina's response is she said that it's gone to
Gone to
shit.
shit. Gone to
And
shit.
I wrote down Tina nailed it because she says that people used to
Yes.
become together and now it's just game. And I'll agree, it is just game now. It's not about like let's party, let's be friends, let's show relationships. Tina nailed it. It's what we're all thinking as well at home and I'm glad she said it. I'm just shocked they kept that footage. I don't know why. Yeah.
You're right to have that like critical thought about it because I was just enjoying it. I just took it for what it was and I was like, hell yeah. Like they started this show on the right foot. They asked the most explosive personality a question and she answered it in her most Tina fashion. I was like, this is perfect. Thank you, Tina. Like you are such a fun personality. That's why you're here and we love it. Like we need you to shake this thing up because people have gotten too like I don't know, like in the shadows and stuff, or like scared to say certain things. And we just need Tina, who is loud and vocal and gonna say what she thinks. But yeah, you're right. That is interesting that they would allow it to say that the show is clearly more boring. I mean, but I think they have to air that because it is like a wow factor.
I
Have
guess.
to show, I agree, that perspective because it's a very commonly heard. It's like we get it too. I feel like they have to
Yeah.
reflect that they understand that it's the show has changed in season 40. So she was sort of the voice of the people or the voice of the OG viewers that are like, it's shit now. It is a different show. There's no point. I've gotten over even at this point being like "Bleh," complaining about it because it's not even a comparison. Yes, they
That's it.
schedule
Yeah.
filming. It's not a reality show anymore. It's not a competition. Whatever it is, it's not
Whatever
the
it used
same.
to be, it's not
Uh,
anymore, right?
it's
And
not.
it's I don't know. I just don't say why can't they just try a season where they just go back to how they used to do it and just film 24/7 and see what they catch. It's not going to hurt the situation. If they need to get footage after, they can do that too. They do that in movies all the time. Like, oh, we forgot this scene. Let's what's it called? When they have to go get it later.
PR, additional dialogue recording, or
Well,
additional, yeah,
they film like additional scenes after
uh,
that to
an
help make the
after
story
take
make more
or
sense
a
or something.
yeah,
But
Well, you know what's
post.
tough is so much of what we loved about the show is I think things that people regret doing on TV. And I can't blame them for that. Like, if I went on a show like that, I would never, like if you have one slip up, you could be perfect all season. Somebody pushes the wrong button, you drank too much that night. Oh, you're gonna embarrass yourself. And I mean, it didn't seem like that was what was expressed by cast members when it would happen necessarily, but I think times are changing and I think people are kind of waking up to, you know, that idea of maybe like being exploited or having regrets on TV. So it's
well,
tough because I loved the drama element of it, but I also can't blame anybody for like, if MTV has changed the format of like not allowing them to have an endless amount of drinks, like everything is kind of more delicate and sensitive now, and we just kind of have to change with the times because
yeah.
yeah,
Here's the
I mean,
thing: if in the year
people don't want to make
2000,
complete ass cats of
I
themselves,
well
you
in the year
know?
2000, if you got drunk on the challenge and it aired on a Wednesday night or whatever, and you didn't catch it that night, you would never know that Tony got drunk on a bus one time. Like you wouldn't
True.
know until the
Yeah.
next season because they what they used to do, which was cool, they would air the entire next season before the new one. So you could like literally watch all day to like the open and you
Mhm.
could catch up like on the season before
Yes.
and get back into it. Oh, those are the best days. I would sit there all day. Had more time, didn't have to work. It was probably summer. I don't know, but I would sit there all day and just watch the previous season to get into the new season. But like I said, if you missed it the season before, you missed one episode, they rarely, sometimes they would re-air it like maybe once, but not very often. So, but nowadays, like you're saying, Jenna, with social media, people just pull it right off of that episode and then boom, you're drunk
Yeah.
all over social media for the rest of your life. So,
It's perpetuated. And you know what? Like it's not that I mean, unless you do something foul, it shouldn't necessarily be the entire judgment of you, but sometimes it does become that,
yeah.
But we've grown to love people through all their highs and lows because of them acting just however they are on reality TV. So it's kind of like a complicated thing to address. But yeah, I think those days are over in terms of like that and
Yeah.
that form of entertainment being on the show.
I'm like bananas not caring about Michelle's feelings purely. I don't think the TV networks give a shit about the people feeling dumb or their reputations or anything. I think it's all
Yeah.
liability. Like you can't, that's probably illegal. You can't
Right.
exploit
Oh,
people with
yeah.
alcohol anymore and let them get naked and jump out a window. It's just, I think they have their own rules,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Because yeah, it, and taping 24/7, now it's like the Real Housewives where they have a staged lunch with all the
Yeah.
housewives. And it's
Yeah.
like,
I know.
I don't watch that, but that's what it is. It's like, all right, everyone at the bar now. Like, yeah, they have certain production. They have to respect their rights as
Well, and
people.
it's not only that, Pam.
How
They're
dare.
often like Laguna Beach was the first one to do this, and we've talked about it. But they like tell them what to talk about. Like, okay, here's your topic. Go. They would even feed them lines sometimes. I mean, they're probably doing that. So
Dude,
it's
that's
totally different. Like
wild. There's
the
like
original
seven.
Real World. Sorry, Jenna, go on.
Oh, no, no, sorry. We don't need to get into Laguna. We gotta stick to the reunion.
Yeah.
But
I was
just the
like, oh,
original
that's
Real World
great.
was just they just taped them, and whatever they would say is what they would keep, and it was just so entertaining because they would purposely bring in all these people from different walks of life that hadn't maybe dealt with someone that acted this way or talked this way or had these morals or beliefs, and it was so entertaining to see them all have to adjust to that. It was great.
Yeah.
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 No, it's
Anyways.
changed. Game's changed.
Okay,
Okay. Well,
next topic. Next topic was Nehemiah throwing up. Good job, Jenna. We got that. Next topic after that. Rachel did say
oh
she would have
God.
felt bad if she had won by like a point to Jenny. I also think it might be a conspiracy corner here. I think if that was going to be the case, they would have only made it one checkpoint and just let her go into second somehow and not beat Jenny. I do think
You
producers had
just
that choice that they could have done that. You know what I mean? Like
no, sorry, what do you mean?
Rachel and Jenny tied, so they got to keep the money. And I was told last week that they got to split first and second place. A lot of people were very upset in the comments. I thought that Michelle got third place and she could have just taken the money from second, but they combined first and second place money for
Mm,
Jenny and
Oh,
they did. I looked into it. It was
oh, okay.
400,000 plus 75,000. So it was 475,000 they split. I did the math.
yeah,
Thank you.
Oh,
Anyways,
okay.
so that's what
yeah.
they did. And then Michelle still only got the 25 in third, which would make sense because that was the only money that she could get. But my
At
point
least,
is, my only thought was that Rachel said she was happy that she didn't beat Jenny because she wouldn't have thought that was fair. But my point is, producers would not have allowed that to happen, I don't think. I think that they were like, it's okay if she ties, but we can't let her go from third to one.
oh,
People are
yeah,
already gonna
yeah.
be pissed at this enough, anyways, I think.
Like they
Personally.
grew conscious all of a sudden. Like we've seen people steal people's money so they lost
No, but
your
that's
dollars. Now suddenly they're like, oh well, we can't do that anymore, you
I
know?
just think it worked out so perfectly. Like, okay, look, two checkpoints gets her tied with her, so let's just roll with that. Versus one checkpoint
Yeah.
gets her like nowhere close to her. I don't know. And if three would make her go way over her. They made up these rules in the end, girls. They made up how
Of
many
Well, I
these things
course.
were worth.
Yeah, I think the fact that we're even coming up with all of these theories just means that there's reason to believe that there's theories happening behind the scene. You know, like if the fact that we're talking about all this means like it didn't feel real, authentic, or clear enough for us to just take what it was for what it was worth. You know, it's like we got to come up with all of these other things to try to fill in gaps and make things make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad
Maria,
though that they split first and second. Sorry, this is the part I didn't know that, and I
I
like
I
that. I was
didn't
like,
realize it either, but it
yeah,
then when people commented to me because I had misspoke, I had said they had to split the 400,000. I said, well, why couldn't they just give Michelle the 75 then? But no,
yes, I
there was
agree.
no
Me too. I thought, what a dumb. What are they like? Yeah, I was.
just give her
I.
some
It,
extra money, but no, they didn't have it.
okay.
So, anyways, Maria making them this is the only part that kind of threw me off because Maria did do a great job hosting. Maria making them sing the song again, I was like
Loved. I
cringe for
loved.
me.
No, me
Me
too.
too. I
I
thought
was
it
Cringe.
like,
was
they don't
so
want to sing
funny.
None
it.
of
I
them
don't
wanted
want
to
to
sing it,
hear
Jenna.
it.
None of them wanted to sing it.
But that's funny. I loved it. I
Nah.
thought that was a
Ugh.
very funny thing to make everybody do because it really, I don't know, it was a funny thing in the show. And then other people who were not involved in the final were singing it. I thought it was
But then to
funny.
get everyone, oh, everyone's singing it. Like, didn't for me, it didn't vibe. I wasn't
That's
into it, but
so
that's me.
interesting to
Work
hear
for
that
me
you guys
either. I was
hated
like,
it. I was giggling. I was like, oh,
Hate is
yeah,
the wrong
like
hate is the wrong word, Jenna. I was like, I felt awkward. It was
loathed,
cringy. I was
despised. Oh, cringed. I gotcha. I
yeah,
gotcha.
I just
like
Yeah.
felt like move this along. They're like,
That's so funny.
and I, as the
Interesting.
audience, was like, it's a funny theory, but I don't want to. Come on, keep going. There's more exciting things
yeah.
to.
That's
Let me see what
interesting.
was
Yeah, that's
next.
really funny. We had
Oh,
totally different
so
things on it.
so Jenna, to bring up what you said, I love the targeting where they got to choose. And then the questions that Maria asked from the fans, the first one was Michelle, and she answered CT overrated, and everyone was like, "Come on, what are we doing here?" Like, Michelle, I liked you all season, and you do this. Like, anybody, I mean, well, I'm not going to repeat what everyone said, but everyone said everyone but
Those
CT.
reactions were
How can you
funny
not agree
though.
with that? Like,
Everyone's
why?
like, what? What?
Yeah.
That was a funny answer,
So,
I guess, for her
you know
to
what I
go.
said out loud, girls? I said, Michelle, Anissa's sitting right across the way there. That's the one you could have chosen because they keep bringing up her bullshit. You've been in 20, 26, whatever, like 30 of these things. You're 15 and 15, girl. Like, come on. They're not that great. My God.
Overrated though. I think Anissa. I think everyone is like, oh, Anissa's, you know,
But like
and
that's
I
to me, that's the one. Like I don't know. I'll think of others too, and I honestly think we should answer that question, girls. Name another overrated competitor. I'll
Man,
give you
that's
some
so
more. I have more
funny.
too, by the way.
I wrote on my list,
Okay.
who is your most overrated to ask the group?
Oh, good.
Um, okay, first off, I think Michelle just had a complete brain lapse, like when the spotlight hits you and you're like, oh shit, you just choke and you don't know what
Josh.
to say. Okay,
Is
but I don't even know what,
overrated. So
yeah,
that's
but
my
Josh isn't.
Josh, I don't think he's
oh, shut
rated.
up, Josh was my no,
Of course
Josh is not overrated. Everyone thinks sorry. Mine was I have a big Michelle, you're overrated. So
Oh,
that's my
well,
my answer
okay.
is Michelle, she had a good whatever. Like I think if
Okay.
anyone's overrated, she's the one that comes to mind for me. She's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not bad.
sorry. Oh, Michelle, don't you're gonna say CT. Shut up, Michelle. That was I like Michelle. I'm glad to see her on the show. I feel bad that she didn't get more money and she had a great finale. Having said that, if I had to come up with someone that was overrated, because is not overrated and Anise
No,
is not
he's not.
overrated.
You're
Michelle,
Pam,
I think,
Jenna
is
was exactly right. He's
considered
not
more of a
rated.
threat.
Josh
And
isn't
maybe
rated.
Olivia now because she hasn't lived up to her first season promise at
Not
all.
bad. I'm going. I have a couple of guys. I got a couple guys. I was thinking Leroy. Honestly, he's never won, and everyone's always saying how good. And then of recent, this is just of recently, Brad, super overrated to me. Recently,
Wow. Recently. Okay,
just
that's
recently, not over. I used to always, but then again, Brad never really. He won one time in a group thing, I think maybe, but like never. He would always be second place. But Jenna, I want to hear yours because you said you had some, no?
okay, yeah, so mine verdict might not be out on whether this person is rated either, but I have Casey because I do think people rate her high. I think people always say they're scared to go against her, which
I mean,
like I can get that.
I'll always dump on Casey. So hell yeah, she's overrated, Jenna. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I get
Oh,
the if you're in the game, she's a strong, athletic woman that if you're in the pool of the woman, in the game, that you would look at her and be like, I don't really want to go into an elimination against her. I get it, but we have seen her just perform so poorly in a final. We've seen her not really have to do all that much. She's not really like a heavyweight winner in daily challenges. Like she's not coming out after every challenge, win after win after win. I think her social game, gets her so far in the game. People just don't vote her in. So yeah, I don't even think I need to elaborate much more.
agree, Jenna. And I forgot about her because it's Casey and she's forgetful. And when you said that, I was like, who the fuck is Casey? And then I remembered. I literally forgot her. I can see not wanting to go. She is an athlete and not wanting to go against her on a one-on-one because she's probably good, but I totally agree. And I still stand by that her champion season was she robbed Tori.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Again, if she wasn't so forgetful, I would have maybe put her up there.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's move on here. Well, here comes the Amanda stuff. So Devin shits on Amanda, and the next target he has to answer something about Amanda. I don't remember what he said. Just said she sucked or whatever. And then she comes out as a devil. It's fun, but I mean, what is she gonna really add to the show besides a little bit of? She wasn't even there for half the damn stuff. I don't know. What did you think of the? What did you both think of Amanda? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, what I think is, I thought it was
Everyone's gonna be like, y'all talk about Amanda too much. Huh?
well, she's a part of this
I
reunion.
know, but people always say that we talk about her too much. But let's talk.
Actually,
Okay,
a
my
fond. Yeah, I think it was an obvious shtick that everyone embraced. So that's my tap on it.
yes. My positive thought is it's funny to see crowd goes wild. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is so funny. She's here. She's in a fucking devil leotard. She's got her little stick. It's horn what
Halloween
is it
spirit.
called?
Pitchfork.
Pitchfork. Pitchfork.
Yeah, I was gonna say Trident for a second, but then I realized that's from The Little
I
Mermaid.
know. I was like, is it a pitchfork if it's like a related to the devil? Because when I think pitchfork, I think like people protesting something, but this is like her thing. So I don't know. Anyway, um, but and also interestingly enough, when she
Mm.
said that she thinks Devin is an actor, I was kind of like, I don't know if I can disagree with you. Like I usually think Amanda has these like very kind of, you know, um inserts herself into people's business sort of opinions on things. Like that's my negative take. That's my whole annoyance with her is like, why does she have this platform to give this almighty opinion on things? Like she's like the Dr. Phil of this show. Like, why are we even listening to her opinions on these things? Like,
Right.
who cares? Like, she's always got a thought on everyone's business and everyone's life, but why do we care what Amanda thinks? But I don't know. I kind of found it kind of
It's a
interesting, like to get
they're
that from her, because there is always a little bit of that feeling with Devin where it's like, how? I don't
well,
know.
they're driving a personality. They're actually, which is nice because remember the other Jenna, she played like the dumb girl. Like they're trying to drive that. Amanda's the
True.
pot stirrer. That's
Yeah.
what this. And here's the
Yeah.
thing is, yes, Devin is a bit of an actor on the show, but you can name that about half the cast. Not everybody. Like I wouldn't consider everybody, but like I would say, oh, how about Tina? How about Bananas? I mean, how about Laurel? I mean, they're all playing this part, and yes, there's true feelings behind it, but they're also doing some acting too. It's not just Devin doing that. And I do think, and we can all answer this question real quick. Does Devin have real feelings for Michelle? The answer is yes. I mean, I don't understand how people can say
Still
no to that.
together. Yeah, yeah, of course.
He
And
even
also
he's like,
it's
that's
like,
my girlfriend. Like why would he be?
yeah.
He's not acting when it comes to that. And that was the main thing she was calling him out about was like him not being like kind of doubling down on what Bananas had said with him not being sincere to Michelle. It's like, no, I think he really is into her. So what's the problem?
Yeah, well, the
Do you
other
think,
point is like none of us are in the apartment with them where they're just hanging out alone. Like, how would any of us know? You know what I mean? So for Amanda to give a take, it's just like, why are you even
right?
like
Right.
Do you mean a man that he's an actor in terms of Michelle or just in
I
general
think
that
she means
he's
you
in
know?
general, but
Yeah, that's what I found is interesting. When she said that, I was kind of like, oh, well, you know what? I kind of like see what you mean because there are certain things with Devin where it just feels like, you either love or hate him, but sometimes it does feel like he's always this like goofy, like funny, I don't know, or like strategizer. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to feel like you're really at the root of what his true feelings are, honestly. I don't know. So I kind of when she said that, it did kind of make me be like, oh wait, is Amanda like actually saying something here? I don't know.
I don't think so. I do think it's a TV show, and Amanda's version of being real is just screaming out every thought in your head. And I
right.
don't think that's
Stirring the pot no matter what. Pam's right.
right.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, Charlie, you're a fake bitch, Cara, I hope your horse dies. Like, these are not, that doesn't make you real. Like, that's not you being a real, but that's just you yelling out every obnoxious thought in your head, whether it's relevant or not. So I don't know. I think, again, it's an Amanda that's her to Devin version of you're fake. You're
No,
fake.
I
It's like
completely agree with you. It's totally
everyone's fake,
this like
except you,
character.
Amanda.
I
Oh,
totally agree with that, but I guess I'm just as I'm sifting and like filtering through a little bit of that whole like persona, there were little bits where I was like, I think maybe she has a point here. And especially
anyone else though. He's more an actor than any other good, entertaining person on the
that's true.
show that
She might be the
has
biggest
yeah.
actor of them all.
Right.
Because it's also but also one of her like filtered through takes with the whole Corey situation and like riding for Nelson and having their alliances. Like I was really buying into what Corey was saying was like, oh, so what? Like we talked one time. I had to protect my team for like, for bigger reasons. Like Naya was crying to me. I was working with Naya. But to Amanda's point and Bananas backed her up on this. Like, yeah, we did have an agreement. Like, how many times do we need to check that we have an agreement, and like
Yeah.
constantly talk about it? Like, we did shake hands on something and then you didn't do it. And it was funny to have Bananas support that and say, I've been a victim of Corey's like
Yes.
daily check-ins as well. Like, only 3 days passed between when we made an agreement and when he betrayed that agreement. So when she said that, I was like, okay, like I'm kind of understanding what she's saying here.
Did you girls like his response, Corey's response to that? He
Yeah.
said
Water.
he wanted hourly check-ins and foot rubs. It was, and
Someone
then
brought up a photo.
because Aviv said her one line of the night and tried to like call Corey out. And I don't know if that was, I mean, it could have been edited the way, but he responded directly back to her. I want 1 hour check-ins and foot rubs to call her out about the foot. It was great. It was so funny. So
Yeah.
Corey was
I think
having fun.
Corey's an actor, actually, which is funny. I feel like he's so sincere, which is same with Nelson, which is a thing they both have. But I think Bananas supported Amanda in this moment because it served his narrative in that
Well,
situation.
of
Of
course, but
course.
yeah.
And also, I think Corey had a point what he said to her on the show and that he sort of hit on here. It's like saying, "Oh, we're both friends with Nelson," isn't it a true alliance and enough to like make you make a tough decision
But
versus not your friend?
but
It's an agreement, but it's not the same as like a. It's a such a loose. I don't think Corey betrayed Amanda. It's like, but Nelson, like,
this is
all right, come on.
Pamela,
What does
let's
that mean? I'm gonna
remember
keep a
this
bad
is
player in the
this
game because
is
of Nelson.
this is Corey. We've talked multiple times on this show. Corey is not a strategic player when it comes to his social game. His social game is awful. He'll make a deal like Bananas and Amanda called him out for and then just decide not to do it the next day, even though they just shook on it. Like, how many times do you need that, Corey? So I'm in agreement on that side. I just like Corey's response too. But get at Corey, you suck at social game. If you're going to come back on the show, step it up, man. Like, work on this part of your game,
We
dude.
Can we get to Corey and Josh right now, real quick? Because they showed the wrong. This was my one nitpicky of the,
Nitpicky.
Corey,
my one nitpick of the reunion is like, well, that's the wrong fight. Like they focused on the wrong fight, not when Josh said, like, your family, Corey, and then gave him a zero or did something shitty to him. That was the fight that pissed us all off. And whatever they were talking about on the reunion, I was like, I don't really remember this beef that you guys had.
well,
And when
Corey,
did Corey Josh
I
sacrifice
also
himself for Corey? Sorry, I'm on Corey. So Josh and Corey, and Josh was like, "I sacrificed myself for you." Like, what? What?
but did he? I don't remember.
No. When I don't remember. Me neither. That's what I'm like. No, he did. I mean,
But just because we don't remember, it doesn't mean it didn't, I don't know. I'm not fact checked here. I gotta go
did
fact.
Bananas jump in and agree with Josh on that moment too? Didn't
of
Bananas jump in and
course,
say,
yes. Because Bananas is anti-Corey right now, and Bananas and Josh are friends. Yes, yes. Bananas threw in his 2 cents that
but I
yes,
mean,
Josh did nobly.
Corey did call Josh out like we all do all the time. He's like, "You're friends with everyone in the house." So Corey did have that one line at least, but it's what we're all thinking and we all see all the time. So guys, when you jump on this show, stop working with Josh because he's just working with everybody. So there's no point. I mean, I guess you might as well say you're working with Josh because he thinks you are, and then turn your back on him in 2 seconds. But like, don't ever work with Josh. Really, just say you are and move along because he's an idiot.
Yep.
Anyways, I just don't. Josh's game is awful too. I don't. We don't have to get into that. He tries to work with
And
everybody. Does no makes no sense.
what should we do next, Dan?
Oh,
What do
all
you,
right. Okay. So then the next thing that happens was I don't really like this. This part kind of was like whatever. Tina was upset with Jordan and Nia for putting her in, but I was like, this is from such a long. This was like when they rehashed this. This was like when I'm like, I don't really need to see this again. I feel like nothing really got accomplished here.
all three of them though. I love Tina and I love her being like, and I'm just, I mean, again with the good spirit. My
Yeah.
summation of that was, I think she was genuinely hurt, but I totally understand Nia being like, "What did you want me to do? Come in?" And it's like that's a nervous smile. I do it all the time. It's
Yeah.
like,
I didn't think
hi,
Tina. I was like,
right.
Tina, do you
I
really
don't
have a
think that
foot?
was like a betrayal. Like if you came in smiling, like what did you want her to do? I thought that was
Yeah. I don't know. Jenna, do you
something
have
to
any
argue
thoughts on the
about.
Tina thing?
I actually could see a bit of both sides because I think Tina just likes a different approach and she prefers that people communicate with her in a friend setting in a different way. Like it seems like she's pretty blunt and honest, right? And usually like the way people communicate with others is how they want people to communicate with them. So I think she was like, don't soften it, like
Hmm.
so like put your chest out, say like you mean it, tell me what's up, and I guess don't lead me on to make me believe I'm safe. So I understood that
Her
perspective. But I
communication style.
also
So it's
but I
like she
liked both.
wanted
Like,
Naya to deliver the news in a better way. That's
I mean, I
fair,
guess
but
just not in a way where you're like hugging and rubbing up on me. Like, I could understand Tina's perspective on that. Like,
Okay.
don't like
But
cuddle me and act like we're the bestest of friends if you're like, you're doing this thing where I thought you weren't going to do that to me. Like,
right.
I
At
do
least they
understand.
told her though. They told her before they don't have to. I don't know why. This whole season they've been telling them before the eliminations. You don't necessarily have to do that because why would TJ then ask again at the elimination? So who you vote for? Well, they already freaking know. So don't tell
it's
them. If
never
you,
a change up. It would be worth it if it was like
that would be
we
that'd be cool.
told then and then they picked someone else at the last minute, but they did
Yeah.
that didn't happen. But yeah.
Yeah, no, but the truth of the whole matter is it is a game and you're gonna get voted in and her
I
reaction
and
she
yet
just
every
is
every
a little bit
season
like,
people are
woe
upset.
is me. Exactly. It's like, okay, well, let's not forget what you signed up for. Like someone was gonna throw you in eventually, And I liked Naya's comeback. Like she was standing up for herself and this was kind of like old, vintage Naya coming in with like a you're really, she was really coming in hot with like you're gonna sever this friendship
I got to go back
like,
and
yeah, Tina,
watch.
you were my choice and like double down on her choice to throw Tina in. She did stop playing like nice and cuddly bear and
Yeah.
she ended up being like, okay, I'll tell you then what I think.
If
So
anyone knows where I can go rewatch The Real World Portland, tell me because
I think
that
it's on
season
Netflix.
it's on
I
The Real
watched it
World Portland.
recently, or
Some of
maybe
these,
that's off now.
not every season is on there though. They skip seasons. But you're telling me Portland's on Netflix, so I can go watch it? I wish I had time, but I want to rewatch that. That season was
It
awesome.
it was for a minute. Like my husband was watching it maybe last year. I feel like it was
I gotta get
Netflix.
on that because you got introduced to so many great characters on that
Very
season.
few. Yeah, there was very few seasons on there.
All
And
right.
I feel Portland was one of them.
While Jenna looks
Not
that
on
up
there
for
anymore.
us,
I don't think it's on there
I don't
anymore.
think
I
it is either. If I
I
had seen that on there,
maybe it was
think
Paramount then.
oh well, I have to re-get Paramount. But I'm not getting Paramount now because All Stars 5 is going to be right there on MTV, which Pam is not happy about.
no, I get
Anyways,
Paramount.
moving along
Okay.
here. Let's do this next part was fun. This is where they talked about the relationships that we never saw on the show, but they're gonna let us know their status update now. And I was like, man, I love this. Like, this is so great that at least they're acknowledging it, but like I wanted more. I always want more. Like this, the stuff they were and Johnny stirred the pot and said, "Oh, Theo, don't you have something you wanted to do for a living?" That was I loved it. I'm sorry, maybe it was cheesy and lame. I thought that see that wasn't cringe to me. That was
That
hilarious
was
to me.
cringe to me.
See, there
See,
we
that's
go. See, there you go.
different on those different things where
I
I was
thought
like,
Johnny laid it out perfectly because it wasn't real, but it sounded real enough to get everyone fired up. Like that's fun stuff. I love
Yeah.
that crap.
It
no,
was
see,
good
I didn't.
cringe. I was like, because we know he's not going to propose, but then it's like, like Olivia has to be like, yeah, no. I mean, it was fun. I thought I liked it too.
All right, answer this question, ladies. Would Olivia have said yes if Theo really did propose? I'm going yes. She's got a
I'm going
goddamn
no.
tattoo right here.
I'm going no. I'm going she's
Another day,
can
honey.
can we revisit this, please?
If he was dead serious about him, Bananas didn't do what he did. I'm serious, like, and he just proposed.
Yeah, maybe because of like the manipulation of being with like lights and cameras and feeling like I have to say yes or I just ruined the whole show. But
Oh
I
wow,
feel like she genuinely wouldn't really want to say yeah. I mean, I know she has a
really?
tattoo, but that was one of the things I liked about Olivia and Theo having their turn is that she was like, I own a tattoo shop. Also, that's really cool. And second, it's like she's like, listen, I could get this removed if I wanted to. Like, I like that she was kind of playful in terms of like, yes, I have him tattooed, but don't make me out to be this crazy obsessive girlfriend. Like, I can get this removed as
And see,
easy.
and the only reason we don't and see that, and she has a and look at that. That's a fun personality that we don't see. And the reason we're not seeing it is because they're not filming 24/7, and they have to have these stage scenes where they feel awkward and they don't get to forget the cameras are there, and we don't get to see the relationships. I'm telling you, I think I figured it out. I really do.
That they're really in love. This is my what's it called? Armchair diet therapy. I think that they really love each other because they like make each other's energy calm. Like Olivia had a more frantic energy before,
Mm.
and she seems like calm, cool, and collected. Like I'm a happy person in a secure relationship. She seems great. I mean, they seem like they really like each other.
That's
I'm
true.
rooting for them. But so I feel like, yeah, it's like, but Olivia's probably like, they're probably very young and it's very new and they haven't lived, he lives in another country. So even if they do really love each other, I don't think they want to like
Yeah,
get
I
married.
wonder how that's going to work. I mean, he said that he would move here.
Yeah.
Seems like they're seriously moving forward in their relationship and like committed to one
And
another.
I
But
wonder what he's doing for work wise. I mean, maybe he's probably trying to still kind of just maybe not necessarily be an actor, but be in entertainment in some way. So why not? I mean, are you doing that in the UK or you just
and
want to stay
Olivia's
here and try to do?
podcast will be on soon, I'm sure.
I mean, there you go. Okay. And they talked about Devin and Michelle real quick, but we kind of already talked about that, so
But
we
we
can move
didn't talk
on.
about Cara and Laurel. Did we skip
That's
that
the
or are we?
last
Oh,
topic. Oh,
sorry. Okay.
I would never forget about that.
Okay.
Next is Bananas versus Devin and Michelle, and then we already talked about this, but we can. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, not really, right? Okay.
No, I think we covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They showed what did I write here? Oh, Arrow won in their issues. This is the next chunk. And Tina, I forgot she said this, and it was so funny. Fucking Bob and Weave or whatever she said.
Bob and
Bob
Weave.
Williams,
It was
dude.
like
Bob
one of
Williams.
It
My
was
favorite
so
part of the season.
good.
Oh my God, era one, like just thank God you guys are there because I know you're the older people in the bunch and you were a disaster all season, but thank you for just
Mm.
being you. Like this is why the show was so good because they would have fights like that and say shit like that. The Bob and Weave bitch was
So
so
good. Yeah.
good.
Bitch,
It
yes.
was so good because it also is just like it's kind of true what she was saying, but it was such a funny way of putting it in
Yeah.
that moment when they're heated
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
yeah, she's like, CT, don't you get it? Like Bob and Weave, bitch. When
Right.
it's like,
And then you remember those two. And what was so good about it was they forgave each other 2 seconds. Like, hey, look, I just wanted to win. Like, me
of
too.
course.
And that was so
Yes.
great to see too when that
Yeah.
happened as well. We do get a little thing with Anissa and Rachel here, which
Yeah.
we had talked about during the season. Like, I don't blame Rachel for putting Anissa in, and Anissa was still trying to say you should have saved me, but I'm sorry, I still think Rachel made the right decision.
Rachel did a really good job of defending her, like respectfully. She
Right.
was like, with all due respect, the rest of our team.
She gave good examples that the guys
Yeah.
would have been upset with her, and she didn't want to upset the guys because the guys are the ones that are kind of choosing who's
Yeah.
going down next. But in all honesty, too, Anissa, you're not as good as a Jody. Sorry, or maybe
Lisa
you are, but
said,
like not in overall. I would
when she
choose
said,
Jody over Anissa. So
so Lisa brought up how loyal she is, and maybe if she played the game differently, she would have won like Rachel.
say that one more time.
My dog disagrees with that.
Oh,
So this was my snarky comment. Anissa was like, "Well, maybe if I played like you, I would have won the game." And I was like, "No, Anissa, you would
oh,
not. You would not have won the game if you were as treacherous as Rachel, who I think also is honest. Like she owns up to the
well,
moves. I thought Rachel did a good job
I
of."
don't think Anissa would have won, but I won. I would. How would Anissa do in an all swimming final? Because she's obviously not great at running long distances, but swimming is a. I mean, you can glide through the
I
water
don't
maybe a
think
little
she
bit. I
would
don't
have
know.
made it there as the
I don't know.
other remaining person from era one, Anissa and Rachel, the survivor. I mean, no offense on Anissa, but
No,
there was
I don't think she
many
would have made it to the
levels
final. But I'm just
between.
wondering in the
Yeah.
final.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, I just think this situation is emotionally driven by Anissa, and that's just what it is, you know? It's hard to
I
be
agree.
impartial when it's
Right.
like you feel the connections and the relationship with people. Like she said, what, 26 years of knowing each other and being friends with each other. It's too emotional is really all it is.
All
She
known each other.
and listen, like maybe she isn't the strongest competitor that you're saving first if you're on a team with her, but at the same time, I think she just has always felt like no one has my back. And it's just like another season after another season of someone screwing me over. So,
It's interesting
that's
though.
her.
It's interesting you say that because maybe that is true. That maybe she feels that no one has her back. But
Yeah, I
then
think so.
every other season they do this big ode to Anissa where they celebrate her all these amazing elimination wins that she's had, but they always fail to mention that she's 15 and 15 or whatever she is. She's dead even. But they don't do that for everybody. Rachel didn't get a whole thing dedicated to her time on the show back. I mean, that's a bad example. That's a bad
I feel
example.
like they
But
all
others
kind of did
haven't.
though. Yeah.
All the era one people have been Anissa. Again, I'm an Anissa defender and I love Anissa, but Anissa has too many best friends to take everything everyone does to her personally. Like Tori's her best friend, Rachel's one of her best friends. And she remember the season of OGs where she had a best friend who she betrayed. Like everyone, I get that there's real relationships and that you've known these people for a long time, but you can't, it's like a Josh situation. It's like everybody can't always have your back. And I do feel bad that she probably doesn't feel like people have her back, but I also feel like,
Yeah. But I mean, let's say Jody won that challenge and was trying to decide between Rachel and Anissa. I don't think Anissa would have been as upset about it if it was Jody making the decision
no,
versus
That's
I agree
fair.
with you
Rachel.
completely. I'm saying there is definitely, I don't think Anissa's, I think she very sincerely has real friendship feelings and feels betrayed by Rachel.
Yeah.
But I feel
Yeah.
like there's 15 people that Anissa would feel that way about. And
Sure.
it's like
Yeah.
just too much of a circle of, you have my trust and loyalty. It's like, and again, I'm not, I mean, I am throwing shade on that a little, but I don't mean to be judging it. I guess the longer, if you're doing it a long time, you're going to build up a serious group of people you're committed to, but I just don't think it's necessarily fair in the game to put Rachel in that position. It's like, I'm sorry, again, I'm sorry I did that to you, but
Yeah, I mean, all right. Let's All right, here's the next thing.
He said, yeah,
Sorry, it's back to the Target thing I was trying to read here. Bananas chooses Jenny as his number one angel when asked the question, and I think he made a fine
that's
point,
fine. Yeah,
fine
it's totally
answer.
fine.
I do think there's going to be people out there that are like, oh, I can't believe he didn't say Rachel. But no, I think his
It's all
reasoning for
right.
choosing Jenny one is perfectly
And I
comparable
think
to what you're doing.
the bond is reciprocated by Jenny. She seems to really like have an endearing look at Bananas, and I think they have a really tight relationship. Like they've kind of always gelled and have been
Yeah.
really close friends. So I was like, that's valid, that's fine. Because Aviv just kind of came back after being removed for several years. I mean, Bananas and Laurel gave Bananas a 1 when it came to the karma votes. Like obviously she's not that big of an angel in his corner. And then I think Rachel, I mean, you could read her facial expression as much as you want. Plus, it's who knows if it's from that moment. They could have cut it from like
Oh,
the,
I
you know?
know. Oh,
So,
It's
I mean, yeah,
fine
I think it's
though.
fair.
I liked it. Again, I liked it. Like I will definitely say I've come around on I don't actively dislike Jenny anymore. I wouldn't say I like
That's
her, but
oh,
I'm
good.
close
wow,
to
we're
liking
making
her.
progress here, Jenna.
Yeah.
This is
Sharing
crazy.
relief.
Don't dislike her, and I do think that was a diplomatic answer, but B, a good one that you couldn't say of Aviva because she's hot, and you couldn't say of Rachel because she's the best. But Jenny
Yeah.
was he had a good reasoning where we wanted to get I thought it all again. It was nice. It wasn't too much. It was cool.
Yeah. And he gave the diplomatic answer rather than when Michelle was trying to pick somebody to be the most overrated.
It was just a
Right.
weird. Michelle's wasn't even non-diplomatic. It was just I was
Yeah, it was just
like,
very
who's the
cool.
most level-headed challenger? Jordan, right? Like, no,
That's
right.
Right.
It's right. It's like, I mean, he's good at a lot of things, but you wouldn't say he's the
Yeah.
most even-tempered. Yeah, it's
Yes,
strange.
yes, totally. That's good.
uh,
Okay, what else? Was
it's
that
the
it?
main. We're here at the main event now. So we'll talk
God.
what Pamela
This
was all
is-
concerned about:
Oh,
Laurel
Laurel
versus
Car.
Cara Maria.
Well,
Uh,
wait.
yeah,
It's funny that you say it's the main event because it was probably like 90 seconds long.
Yeah,
I know, because I think it's gonna. Is it gonna carry over into part two though, or
No,
no?
it
I
seemed
hope
like it
not.
was like, we don't need to talk about this anymore.
Okay. I call it the main event because it's the last thing, and that's when the main event usually happens. But yeah, I mean, I think there's gonna I think part two, something's gotta happen again. Well, I guess they did kind of cover it all, and they both said it was funny because Cara's like, no, I'll be on with her, and Laurel's like, no, I won't be on with her, but Laurel, I don't believe you for a second. You're full of it.
Man, that just, yeah.
I like all honesty, I think we're all on the same page here. Are we all on Team Cara on this? Because like I can't stand Laurel throughout all this stuff that she says. I just think it's all BS. Everything she says, I just don't believe any of it. I think it's all crap.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen so many seasons. Like we have seen Laurel be a good friend to Cara and defend her at
years
certain
ago.
points. Yeah, at certain points, but it does feel like the things that she has said to Cara to her face and behind her back are so mean-spirited.
Yeah, I
Like
don't.
you can't put that under the guise of like tough love and like, we're just so close that it's like a sister relationship and they put that to bed tonight. But that's kind of been like, the term that people have glossed over this explosive relationship ad. And it's like, no, she talks to her
Right. What
terribly.
do you think? What is rubbing Laurel such a bad way about Cara? I can't figure out what is Cara doing that's that bad that's making her treat her this way. I can't
He's
figure it
jealous of
out.
her. She's jealous of her because Nicole wanted Cara before she wanted Laurel.
That can't be the only
Now,
reason though,
there's other
Pam.
reasons I think she had. I don't know. I'm not even going to attempt to get into that one, but I loved, and I will give Cara the respect to do it. I thought Cara said it. She's like, we're not sisters. Let's ixnay that narrative. This isn't a sister dynamic. She's a low person that goes beyond below the belt, and I'm done with it. Like,
Yeah, and
Cara,
because Pamela, I'm with you. I think Cara's reached out. I think Cara's reached out to Laurel multiple times, even throughout the season, trying to like make amends. But what are we doing? We're like in our 30s. Why are we still acting like this? But the Laurel can't. Laurel's a freaking child when it comes to, we talked about it, when it comes to relationships, she acts like a 13-year-old. When it comes to squashing things and moving on, she acts like a 13-year-old. She's ridiculous. Can't stand
I
her.
wish you the best, Cara. I hope you find peace. It's like the weirdest projection,
And
vile. It's like,
fake. And just
yeah,
fake to me.
she
Yeah.
doesn't need your black. It's not even fake. It's so. It's again. It's weird. It's
Uh,
like No, Laurel, you're
Sarcastic almost? Like, how about
projecting. It's not
sarcastic?
sarcastic.
No?
She's
Okay.
just trying to act, I think, like she's above it. Like, I have a great life, and Cara, I wish you the best. And it's the reverse. It's like Cara's done playing this game with you. You're not a worthy adversary. It's not a fun headbutting. This is a horrible, you're a vile person that's mean to her. And it hasn't ended. And I think Cara's super past it, and Laurel wants to act like she's past it, and
Mm.
she's not. That's my, yeah, no, I think Cara really is like, Cara's like, I don't, this is, I'm done with this. And I really hope she is done with Laurel forever. It's not even because I love the like, oh, will they, won't they friendship of them. Because I liked when they were friends 20 years ago. I was like the biggest supporter. And I know that when Abram did the shit to Cara, Laurel moved out there. I think Laurel has a lot of I think Laurel needs to get D into therapy. That's my conclusion. And
We
Cara's probably been
also,
in therapy for 10 years.
yeah, I
So
mean,
I
we
would say
also
do
know
the
so
work, Laurel.
little. We know so little about what happens off camera,
Well,
so.
Cara did a whole, I mean, we remember Cara went on and said what her version of it, and what I don't even remember because it was at the time, but I think Laurel is not even amusingly, it's not fun anymore. The mean-spiritedness isn't entertaining to me, or interesting drama. It's just mean-spirited without being fun anymore. So
Mm.
I'm pretty much done. I'd take Amanda over Laurel at this point. At least she's entertaining. Laurel seems genuinely nasty, and hitting below again, just not good.
Jenna, any thoughts on that final topic?
No, I mean, I think I
Okay.
my piece on it just feels like, I don't know, I'm wondering with all the relationship dynamics on the show that we've seen, if that this is like the hardest one. It kind of feels like, right? Like this feels like maybe the more toxic one of anything we've seen, where it's like I feel like there's like just a lot of pain there between those
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
So before we go, a couple things, housekeeping things. One, we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people that haven't even spoken any words yet, and I just want to feel this out. I want to name some of the people, and then I want to see what the hell are they going to ask them in part two, if they're even going to speak at all. Like I just don't know, like, what are you going to ask them? So like
Is
the
it
ones that are coming right
necessary?
to my head because I is Avery and John A. Those are the two. I was like, what are they going to ask them next week and get them involved in the show? Same with like Aviv. Aviv had that one question
Even
to.
comment on her and bananas in the bus for three
Okay, so
seconds. That's
agreed.
my
I'm just naming the
okay.
people that haven't really talked yet. So Aviv will have. I think they'll probably cover the foot fetish thing a little. I don't.
Talk about the angel and the
The
friendship she
angel.
made. I'll have an Aviv moment
Jenna's
because
just smiling over there with the foot fetish stuff.
Because
All right.
it's like, but saying it's a foot fetish thing is so funny because it's like he just gave his friend a foot rub, like because
team
she
foot
was
fetish
Yes, but
though.
the
They
foot
they
stuff was
sat in the
talked
room together
about.
and touched each other's toes and looked at each other's feet. I mean,
The
that was
foot stuff
I
was
don't
talked
think they're
about multiple
really I don't
episodes,
think it's
Jenna.
serious. Yeah, but
no, it's true. It just yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I think it became their gag, but you know.
Yeah, well, it made me
Well, I
want
mean,
to
it
gag. All
reminds me
right.
of when Laurel was trying to
Not
say that Darrell was doing something like shitty to his wife by getting a back
really,
rub.
no.
It's just kind
Emily,
of like
No,
Emily, the
that
massage
one was
therapist,
ridiculous.
gave him a massage,
maybe we'll
and
talk about
Laurel
that.
tried to.
We haven't,
Who
we have,
wait,
I'll
who
talk.
yeah,
So
was that
Oh, Emily, yeah,
Laurel said that.
Emily.
Was that Laurel who said that about
Laurel said it and that's when Darrell was like, "You're a fucking mean bully. Like you're a
Yeah,
bitch,
that was that.
basically."
Why they need to save time for that one to get rehashed because I wanted to hear more on that. Seriously, that's a good. Like I didn't need to hear the Tina, Nia, Jordan stuff. I want to hear. Maybe you did. But that's fine. I want to hear the Darrell go at Laurel. That'd be good.
I want
Johnny
to
to stop
hear.
defending Laurel and stop being diplomatic about Laurel. He's like, so we can admit that was Johnny kind of put a bow on it at the end by saying, would you admit that you both played a part in this? And Cara's like, sure, I'll admit we both played a part in it. It's like,
Well, I got more
no, this isn't
names.
a
I got more names.
okay.
So Derek hasn't said a word yet, and the dude got second place. Like, when are we going to hear? And the reason I know that he hasn't said anything is because I remember seeing his like he did like a beach blonde, and
Hair,
I think it
yeah.
looks really. I think it looks good. However, I would have remembered seeing that again with a close up of him saying something, and I didn't see it the rest of the show. So we have to. I mean, how are they not going to talk about to him about something? I don't know. So there's like those are the ones I thought of up front, but I'm sure there's more
Yeah.
too.
Sorry, this is not for next episode. This is something that I just thought of because I was thinking, like, I want to hear people talk about Jordan just like lashing out on people at certain random times of the season. But I'm also thinking we didn't touch upon Jordan admitting, like, you guys gave me a
Yeah.
pass to walk my ass right in the final. Like,
Well,
how
the
guys
three of us
let
had
me
talked
do
about that.
this?
The three of us talked about on the show, like, how did Jordan not go into one
Sure,
elimination all
but
season?
to
Yeah.
hear him say
Not
it, it's like,
Jordan.
and also that's the point of the show. Like, of course, that's what you want to do, you know. That's like what you strive to do. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Corey, who is, not good at gaming, who's not a good gamer, let's say, was the only one that was like, you were letting Jordan get to it. He was like, even more than Bananas, the one that throughout the actual season was like, why is everyone letting, because Corey went in 4 times, on his fourth time, he got eliminated. And he was like, why does Jordan get to keep not going into finals? And I guess if people don't want to go against you, you don't go to
Mm.
elimination much. I don't know.
Okay.
mhm.
So we're not going to do a mailbag tonight. Instead, just real quick, I think, and maybe I'm adding to this when we kind of talked pre-show, girls, but I just think it'd be fun. What if the commenters asked us questions for next week that it could be about the show, it could be about the reunion if they want us to answer questions about that, but also just in general, just to us, like, oh well, what did you know? Why does Dan always talk about living on a lake? It's random stuff. Whatever they want. Just ask us random questions and we'll pick out some fun ones to talk about after we talk about part two. I think that could be something fun to to talk about. Yes, Pamela. Pamela, you raised your hand. How nice.
Oh, I was gonna say I have a question for the listeners, viewers,
Oh, okay.
but I don't want it to get too off topic. Let's do a yes or a no. Are you guys watching Traders? Because then we'll talk about it after I read all the comments. Maybe we'll
Well,
talk
Pamela,
about
are
it
you
next
watching
week.
Traders? Yes or no?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
And it's another it's
I
another
know I
like
don't
love.
have I need to start obviously. Spoiler alert, Wes comes in. All I know is that Wes isn't on the original cast. He kind of comes in.
I mean, it happens on episode 1, so
I
it's
know it
not a
does,
big
but
spoiler.
I'm just
Like they're
saying
like
when I found out, I'm like even like I because I
he's
was
the
like,
only challenger on it, and they it just
don't give
speaks to
anything away.
Wes.
Don't give
The
anything away though.
only, literally the only like on the cast of this, he's the only like MTV person,
Hmm.
and apparently social, because I only hear about social media stuff. I don't experience it, but I hear about it when I listen to podcasts. The challenge fandom is going bananas at like other fandoms. So that just speaks to Wes's popularity
All
because
right.
he's literally the only person. It's not like him and Bananas and Anissa are all on it representing. It's just Wes. No one
Yeah.
knows who he is really in the cast.
Oh,
And
that's
he's already,
fun.
yeah, no one knows him. He's already Wesing it up though.
Oh,
He's
but
great.
like nobody, because I mean, like that seems impossible to
They're
me.
like,
Because
oh,
if
go
you
on
know Wes,
TikTok.
they're
It's
not
a
going
lot
to
of
trust
housewives.
him at
It's a
all.
lot of 40 plus women that are on Bravo. They don't know who Wes is.
No, and look, I was obsessed with last season because CT and Trishelle were on it and Bananas for one episode. But yeah, I was Traders that last season was so
Some
freaking
people
good.
know who
So
Wes is, but only the like more. I would say more than half the cast does not know who he is. It's really fun. It's all my.
I
I'm
can't wait.
not
I can't
gonna.
wait to
It's
try to find
great
time.
fun. Like what I want to do this weekend is dive into like podcasts about traders because it's just really fun and
All right, I'm gonna have
stupid.
to watch it. I'm
It's
gonna have to
just
wait till Stacy and Olivia and Rosie the dog go to bed, and I'm gonna have to try to watch an episode like in bed quietly or something. I don't know. We'll try to figure it out.
okay.
All right, Jenna, you gonna watch Traders? No, no time.
I'm just like so busy right now rewatching a teen soap drama from
Especially with
2006.
One Tree Hill, you can't be
So
Are you
bothered.
really just so
I
wait? We talked about this pre-show. You're actually rewatching One Tree Hill right now, like the whole like. Oh
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
first time since high
Because
school, yeah.
yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. For the first
we
time
talked about
since high school. And I was hesitant to do it because I knew how obsessive I was going to get because I was when it first came out. So that's why I've never rewatched it because I'm like, I can't go
it.
back
Did you
because
rewatch it
But
because your
I
hubs
won't get out. I
was
stay
your
there. I live in Tree Hill when I watch it.
was your hubs the deciding factor to do this again, or did you just start it and he kind of walked in on it and then became obsessed too?
Walked
How did
in
that
on it.
happen?
He missed like the first, I want to say like 12 episodes of the first season. He was like, I don't need to go back and rewatch it. Just play it. And then he's asking all these questions. And
Of
I'm like,
course.
you don't understand. You don't understand how it started. If you could see the character development,
Yep.
if you could see the relationships changing, you would just understand the characters more. Like, don't
Holding up,
critique the
Jenna?
character when you don't even know them. So
Like
yeah,
you love it again? You're like, oh my God, you're
no,
reliving your
I'm
love?
lost
Pamela,
in
did you
Chanel.
have
Like,
you never got into it, right?
Never
It,
watched it.
Pamela, I'm telling you
oh
right
my God.
now, the show's freaking amazing. And if you
Really?
started, yeah, Pamela, if you
Is
started,
Chad
you're gonna,
Michael Murray in it?
yes,
Is that
yes, yes, yes.
okay?
Pam,
I
Pam,
like
I'm telling
Chad
you. Oh,
Michael
now she's
Murray.
into it. Oh, if Chad's in, I'll watch Chad.
I just feel like if you didn't experience it the first time around,
That might
would it?
be true. I
Yeah,
don't know
I feel like
any
it
other
might be
way.
too late for me
I
to enjoy One Tree Hill
I don't know
so
what
without
it's
the.
like to come from that new perspective, but I do know my husband had never watched it before. And
Oh,
he was like,
really?
well, Jenna, let me
he's like
ask you.
daily, he's like, all right, One Tree Hill time. Like literally, he's like,
Well, we have our nighttime
okay.
shows that are falling at the like we don't take too seriously. So One Tree, I don't think Luke would have
Jenna, does
Luke's
it
not
hold up so far?
So for me, like I said, this is dangerous for me because I was so obsessed with it then. Yes, of course it holds up to
Okay.
me. So much to the point that I'm willing to like fight for storylines that are obviously
gonna.
and
So,
ridiculous.
Jenna,
Like
you know
I
what I
know
don't
they're really
think?
not. They're actually not that far-fetched and they're great and they make sense. But I will say, as an adult rewatching, there are things that like specific details that I kind of just didn't hit me the same when I was younger as it does now. Like a lot of like the sexualizing of the young girls. Like they're supposed to be playing 17-year-olds. Like
Right.
we don't need to go as far as we go with them in so many different ways. Like there's so many examples that is just like this is really bad how they're portraying these young girls and the way that they're like not clothing them or like,
So, no spoilers for Pamela, but here's what I don't think will hold up,
I
Jenna.
don't think One Tree
Okay,
Hill is
fine.
like moving up
After
to
the
the top
two,
five.
after two of the main characters leave the show, I don't think it's gonna hold up after that. Because I remember watching that after they left and be like, this show ain't the same and it's not as
Oh, you
good.
know what?
But you
I'm
liked
sorry.
it more.
I should have did the preface of I
You know,
My Winter Hill seasons 1 through 4.
you won't. You never seen the rest
I have. I saw season
because it
5 and
falls
I was
off
like
real quick, as you know.
yeah,
Then,
very quickly, and I saw season 5 IRL. So what happened was
yeah.
my Winter Hill story. This is going way off the deep end. My Winter Hill story is my sisters had already watched it, and I had the DVD box set when I came of age. I finally watched it. It came out when I was 10. I didn't watch it till I was like 13, 14 on DVD boxes, like bam, bam, woo, let's go. You like fell into obsession. Um, so. So when season 5 came out, it came out when like actually on TV that I could watch it in real time, episodes weekly, right? And yeah, I committed for the season. I might have watched 1 or 2 episodes of season 6, and I was like, I have to go.
Yeah, Pamela, one
To
through
be set
four,
for a binge
one
too.
through
Like
four,
there's
Pam, you can do
definitely
it.
well, One Tree Hill, no,
One
I
through
don't think
four.
I'm going to, but I would like to second I think, well, so when they did a reboot of Laguna Beach or something recently, like a couple of years ago, because I was married to Luke, I think they did a
They did
something or
another
the Hills or a reunion. They did something, not maybe 5 years ago, and they replayed on MTV Live. So this is when I had cable, so it has to be many years ago, but I rewatched the whole thing one weekend and I was like, and I loved it so much, but I think it was nostalgic for like when
Yeah.
I watched it
Yeah.
more than that I like loved watching Laguna Beach and the hills again.
By the way,
Anyway, but yeah.
one more thing on Laguna Beach. Kristen and Steven did a podcast together, and it's freaking awesome. They went through every episode and they just did a rewatch podcast. But the behind the scenes stories that they tell, because they don't give no F's about MTV and pissing them off.
Hey,
Did you watch it, Jenna?
I know of it, and I'm
They do
curious of
both.
how
They do
long.
both seasons they're in, and they crush it. They get all the. They bring back the cast members and interview them
my
on,
God.
and they do mailbag fans, so the fans can write into them and ask them. They ask them like super awesome questions, and they answer them straight up. They don't. They don't like the MTV. Anissa and they're towing the company line. Tori. They're not doing these. They don't care. They answer the best questions. So watch the.
Not wait. I will 100% dive into
It's
that.
called like Back to the Beach. What the hell is it called? I watched the whole thing so fast. It was great.
I'm just
So
Well,
curious,
listen,
like
listen to it.
I'm curious of the NDA legalities there. I guess clearly it's
They
us.
didn't
Inspired.
give,
Yeah. It's like, fuck you. That was great.
they didn't care. They just said
That's
everything about it. It
awesome.
was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, when
And
they
guess
were
what, Dan?
Mm.
The women of One Tree Hill did a rewatch podcast.
I
So I'm
haven't.
listening to that as well.
I have so many podcasts, and the only time I can listen to them now is I walk the dog in the morning. That's the
Yeah.
time, and if I go to the gym on the weekends. But besides that, I'm on daddy duty. I can't. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't. I love podcasts. So like, I'm really
It's
into
really
it. So
good. I love it.
I'm
They
into the one I'm very religious about still is the Pod Meets World, the Boy Meets World podcast that's still
Mhm.
going. They only
Isn't
got
it
like two.
funny? Every show has a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they're great, and
Well, when
they're really fun. They do some
when
great stuff.
Laguna was made, they probably didn't foresee that in X amount of years there'd be podcasts and rewatch. So they
Instagram.
probably do are not. It's like after don't talk about this in the various like magazines on television after show. They literally probably didn't even predict podcasts. So
Right,
All
right.
right.
Yeah, don't talk
yeah,
about this on your TikTok and Instagram. No, didn't even know that that was a thing. Now that
right.
it's become a thing. Don't put this on your smartphone. It was
Social
still
media,
phone when
right?
Laguna did
Who
that.
knew?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up
All
this
right.
episode.
Wraps it up.
Reunion part two. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for all of your random questions that you're going to ask us because we are going to pick some to answer. Yeah.
Yay, I'm watching the traders, or nay, I am not watching the
And then
traders. Is
Pamela
my
really wants people to jump on the Trader game, season 3, apparently.
just like
So,
if you're watching or not. We'll talk about it
I know
more.
some traders from One Tree Hill.
ooh, go ahead, list them before we go.
I'm just, Pam, I'm just saying
People
there's,
traders on One Tree. I'm like, is there a crossover?
yeah,
A
there's
One Tree
people
Hill.
who are traders to
Pamela,
other
we're trying to
people.
get you into it right now. Come on.
Oh, okay. I get it. I'm like, I don't know, but
All
I'm
right.
intrigued.
Any,
All right, we got to go. All right, yes.
Okay.
okay.
See you later.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.